the worst decision you ever made?
Well, this has caused me a great deal of shame, but the worst decision was adopting Chris. That was really, I mean, it was the best thing for her, and it ended up being the best thing for her, but it was really our family unit was set and really no problems. I mean, we were already dealing with the issue with Jody, and and swimming and all this stuff, heroic work we had done with him, and so bringing somebody in. Now, Chris had been in, I believe it was 3 different families had her for a period of time, and all 3 of them returned her because they could not control her behavior, and she was destructive, she was a thief, she was a liar, she was not good with other family members. It's like the term throwing a spanner in the works. It was, we had this, the family was already set up. And but we had our family so well controlled and set up. We really thought that we could help her, and we wanted a girl. So, and when we adopted her, she was just as shy, really, if you met her, a shy, really pretty girl, really pretty, and an unusual girl with a ton of potential that nobody'd ever recognized. And like I said, when you're adopted and then sent back, or not adopted, but brought into your home, they'd be in there for 6 months to maybe to a year, where they're really trying to help her. So we that on the one hand, we really were able to help her. I mean, we really were. We got her under control. We got her successful. As far as, I mean, she was always iffy at school, but she knew she was going to get in serious trouble if she did certain things that nobody'd ever disciplined her before, really. They just just kind of threw up their hands in despair. I don't know, but anyway, and you weren't really allowed to spank her. That was the beginning of that thing, and that was the one condition that we made very clear. It's no deal then, because our children are spanked. We can't have this, and they made an exception for us to be able to do that, because otherwise that would have, and if you weren't able to spank her, you really, because fear really did become something that she knew of. She still, she still stole, she still did other things, but that was difficult. That was difficult, but she was very pretty. She could be very charming. People, if they're just seeing her at school, she wasn't smart in the traditional, like the sense of our kids, but she was like street smart, cunning kind of smart, and she did, because she was made to learn. She couldn't even read when she came. 6 years old, barely reading, no math at all, because they couldn't do anything. And really, within a year, we really had that under control, that she was learning. And it happened that because, we've got 3 other kids, we had Jamie. She was way behind, way behind, but we got the notebooks that kids use, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever, in first grade, second grade. So we got the notebooks, and most of the time, Jamie, in the afternoon after school, when we came home from school, he spent at least a half hour to an hour tutoring her. And they did very well at together, except for the fact that both of them at that age adored Jory, and they all the kids, everyone, even Jody, wanted to have influence or play or take Jory all the time. It's an unusual situation, but he was an unusual kid. So there was a big competition between Jamie and Chris over teaching her, but even with that friction, that was another friction, but Jamie really did a good job with her, and he was a little professor in second grade, third grade, so he enjoyed that very much, and so he really did. We got her caught up on her. He got her caught up on that math educational area, so that was really good. But so okay, I say the worst decision when you factor all this other things good, but then again in the long run she ran away and did her thing, but at the same time she was given a rare opportunity to learn and everything. So I don't regret that part of it, but I definitely caused because even Jamie who was the sweetest kid in the world, well, maybe not until Jory came along. Jory was always sweeter. And Jory, I don't know what it was about him, maybe because he was kind of like almost an only child. The older kids adored him. They always wanted to be with him and do things for him, and they fought over who was going to get to, take them, and, taking him. Most older kids don't like to be interfered with. Well, we're going to go down and go fishing now. Jory wanted to go, and they'd say, okay, you can go. And I was like, oh my God, keep track of them. Which the funniest thing was, one time while they were down there, he slipped on a rock and went floating down the river. And the kids, the two boys, later would tell us that both of them just about half killed themselves to catch him. And when they got him, they were like, "Man, that was a close call, because if we would have to go and ask the police to save us, because we knew that Mom was going to kill us if we lost Jory." And of course, they didn't want to lose him. But anyway, that's good, bad, but
we're talking about worse decisions.
that was it.
Actually, no, I couldn't think of any really bad decisions, because at the time, most of the time we talk about everything.
Absolutely.
And so we've got the pros and cons pretty much covered. But if it turns out to be a bad decision, generally we turn it into a good decision one way or another.
Yeah.
We do something about it. The only bad decision I can think of at the time was we had a real tansy problem on the farm on Skookumchuck. Everybody did.
Everybody did, yeah.
And so before I'd had helicopters spray on my dad's place and in the neighborhood, and so the helicopters were coming to spray. So I says, okay, just spray my back field. It was about almost 20 acres, and so the helicopter comes out there and sprayed, and he killed a giant cottonwood tree.
Yeah.
And this tree was 5.5 feet across.
Yeah.
And huge, just sitting next to the creek.
Yeah.
And it killed the whole tree. So, gosh, it just looked terrible. So I called this logger friend of mine. We cut it down and burned it for firewood. We had more than one winter's worth of firewood right there. So one tree. So that's how you turn a bad decision into a good one.
Right.
A little more on the Chris situation. Yeah, she lived with us until she was about 13 or 14.
Yep.
And then because she came when she was 7, I believe.
Yep.
And then lived with us for about 7 years. And then she went to her mother. Her biological mother wanted to take her. And so, to tell you how bad the adoption situation was, she qualified for subsidized adoption. So they paid people to take her.
Yeah.
And so that was probably what happened in the beginning, because the people were looking for money and not her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I didn't
And paid
necessarily
good.
want to do that, but it helped in our family because we were
Absolutely.
scraping along at that particular time. So it helped, but I ended up just putting it in the bank for her and building up the money for her. And then we thought at that time, being more religious than we should be, maybe the state has a tie to her of, there's some kind of a connection there that they're more of a parent than we are. So I told them, I don't want any of your more state money. I says, we'll take care of her and we'll handle her the way we handle our kids. And so then she really became our family, my daughter. And so at that time, then things really changed as far as her becoming part of the family and everything else. And she didn't know about this, but I was putting the money away for her. So when she ran away, or not ran away, when she went back to her mother's, then I just wrote her a check and gave her all this money and put it in her bank account for her. I don't know what she did with it. That's up to her. But then her mother, after 2 years maybe, brought her back. Yeah, it was before she was 16. Her mother brought her back. Just dropped her off when we were working at the church.
Oh,
at the
yeah, we
house.
were at the church.
Just dropped her off with her suitcases of stuff and left. And that was it. So that was, another slam to the daughter, because her mother
Right.
just got rid of her.
Right.
And we said, sure, we'll take you back, and now is the time for you to get your driver's license.
Right.
So we'll teach you how to drive and all this stuff, and just picked up where we left off. And she actually, at that time, started realizing that she made some changes. She made some decisions in her life that, life wasn't so bad. And she kind of blossomed with a personality sort of a thing. But then the boys really liked her. And so she left again. I can't remember what the story was. I think she got a job because she'd already graduated.
She was quit going to school from I don't know how that was. She quit going to school for some, but it couldn't have been with the Christian school. So I don't know.
No, she finished the school.
Yeah.
Because she was, I can't remember. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
What happened? But anyway, she got married. She got a job, got married.
Really good guy.
Yeah.
Really good
Didn't
guy.
work out. And then,
Well, she started doing things. She went
Well,
out.
yeah, she
she went
went
out and
back
bought
to
a
see-
motorcycle. Then instead of doing her job in school or whatever it was, she was just going down to the beach and.
she wasn't in contact with us at all, which was really kind of sad.
But we
because she went
learned
through
all
a couple
this.
things that she didn't have to. I continued to carry insurance on her all the time,
Mm-hmm.
even after she left. And she wrecked her motorcycle and was in the hospital for a long time. And I didn't know about it. And afterwards, I thought that was really dumb. I had you all covered with insurance, and she didn't. So it was a big sacrifice for her. But anyway, then she got divorced that guy and got married again. And we're in contact. I talk to her maybe once a year is about it. But
Yeah.
she's very successful.
Yeah.
She gets along just fine. And she's not sorry that she spent time with us. So it worked out good in that sense.